I'm doing Bible study in the morning, and then I get in a car to go to work, and then what am I listening to is bad. Like, started off, music is used to glorify God, right? And they moved those same chord progressions and put kind of secular lyrics on it, and it became Motown. It all started, I got kind of sick, which thank God everything worked out, but I wound up changing the way I eat, right? So I'm full vegan, you know what I mean? Not trying to say anybody should be full vegan, but I feel 100% better. I gave up meat and dairy. I also went down this real rabbit hole of like the food industry. I was like looking at all these food documentaries and stuff like that and just being like, they're doing this on purpose. Like all the stuff they put in the food, the way we treat the animals, the chemicals. I went deep. I went pretty deep with it. As an end result, I'm very, very intentional about what I put in my body. You know, I'm reading labels, I'm looking at nutrition facts, ingredients, I'm looking stuff up, right? And so I had a bunch of procedures done, you know, everything came back clear. But one morning I was doing Bible study, right, with my wife. And we were reading a pretty popular story in the Bible of Samson and Delilah. And it was weird, like Samson knew like what he was there for. He knew that he was anointed by God. He knew all of it. He's like, yeah, I can't cut my hair. Like he knew it, but he just had to like mess with these Philistine women. You know what I mean? And he knew he wasn't supposed to, but he was kind of just like, he was telling everybody and his parents, like, I got it. I know I'm here for, I get what God wants me to do and everything, but like, trust me, like, these Philistine women, it's not gonna affect me. I can still kind of indulge and I'll be fine, right? And so we were just talking about that, and it's a weird story to try to relate something to, but I started thinking like, metaphorically, if there's a Delilah in my life, it was my music. You know what I mean? I'm listening to horrible, like the hip hop music that I've grown up on and listened to, trap music. I'm from Miami. I'm all of it, and it just hit me very, very, very hard. You know what I mean? We were talking about it, and I'm just like, I'm trying to convince myself that although I'm putting these things into my body, that it's not gonna have any effect on me. You know, I got it, you know. And God just put on my heart that that's not true. That's not true. And that's why I started doing the nutrition facts, is it was like, have you checked the nutrition facts on your music lately? And so, what are the ingredients of your music? What's it made out of? Listen to the lyrics. I'll give you a quick exercise, right? Go get a Bible, open it up to the 10 Commandments, right? Put the 10 Commandments right here, and then pick your favorite song out of your playlist and put the lyrics right here. And then you tell me, is it healthy for you? What's going in? What are you putting into your body? Just because you're not putting it into your mouth doesn't mean you're not putting it into your body. And just like the foods you eat can be dangerous and have long-term effects on you, the music can too. So it really just, in that moment, I was just hurt because I felt like, wow, you know what I mean? I've really been kind of poisoning myself for years, for a really long time. And then after that, it all became kind of like a wave of information just coming to me about how music is not being used for its intended purpose. Started off, music is used to glorify God, right? That's why we have music, you know? And I feel like we know we have an enemy, you know what I mean? And that enemy has hijacked music. And so I started thinking about how you would have like gospel chord progressions, you know, that were playing in the church, and then they moved those same chord progressions and put kind of secular lyrics on it, and it became Motown. And that graduated into what we had R&B music, and that graduated into, how are we talking about women in these slow jams now? How are we talking about, you know, everything? And the gurus that used to tell stories to the beat of the drum, how it can evolve to hip hop, to rap, to gangster rap, to drill, and it's gotten hijacked. It's been perverted like into something that's really, really bad for us. So I got to nutrition facts because thank God I got sick and started just thinking about everything in terms of what I'm putting into my body food-wise, right? And it really put a lot of things in perspective for me on the musical front, because there's no argument. You can't listen to some of the music that's out there now and make an argument that it's good for you. That's like sitting in Burger King and having or any fast food restaurant and eating like a quadruple cheeseburger and a 2-liter of soda and a tub of bacon grease and trying to tell somebody, this is actually like healthy for me. You know what I mean? You know it's not, but we just mindlessly listen to it. And just like eating that fast food, we'd be silly to think that this isn't gonna have long-term effects on our health, right? So yeah, I really started, the most liberating thing that I did was I went through my playlist and I removed anything that was harmful to me. And I'll tell you what, it was most of my playlist. You know what I mean? Like I'm right here, I'm doing Bible study in the morning and then I get in the car to go to work and then what am I listening to is bad. Like how much of the stuff that I'm listening to have I actually done too in real life? Yeah, so anywho, through that process, man, I started discovering all these new artists I never heard of though. And I knew in that moment that healthy music, flooding the market and giving people a way to take up as much space as possible with life-giving, healthy music is my purpose. It's my purpose in life. There's an enemy of our music and he's hijacked our music. And I'm like, if you make that type of music and it's working for you, I'm not hating on you. But I'm trying to flood the market with good music because only the light can cast out the darkness. I'm trying to flood the music industry with so much light because I just did it. I just indulged my system with healthy, life-giving food, and I feel different. You know, if you take the vegan challenge, right, and go 30 days without eating meat or dairy or anything like that, you're gonna see certain medical results, right? Your blood pressure's gonna go down, your blood sugar is gonna go down, your cholesterol's gonna go down, you'll have more energy, you'll sleep better, all these things, these are facts, right? If you take 30 days and go vegan with your music, your tendencies will be different, your urges will be different, your responses will be different. The way you look at women will be different. The way you see violence for what it is and drug use for what it is will be different. It won't be as normal to you. It's the same thing as just if you eat French fries every day, that's normal. You drink soda every day, that's normal to you, right? Stop doing it, and then you'll be like, wow. You ever stop drinking like soda for a while, and then you have one, you'd be like, ooh, it's a sugar. Yeah. So that's the mission, man. That's really what I'm trying to get people to understand is that you're hurting yourself. First of all, I'm establishing our brand, right? Our first drops are, I mean, the drops that we're putting out in Collabratz are gonna be powerful music. And it's music that you can vibe to. It's not like, I think that's the biggest misconception and one of the things that I am tasked with showing people is that you don't have to produce poison in order to make money. You know what I mean? You don't have to talk about drugs, sex, violence in order to make money. That's what the thing is. That's the cool, popular thing of the music industry is making money like this. And just like those food documentaries, that's very intentional. Man. You know what I mean? And so Collabratz serves as a platform to show you, listen, these people are out here getting it. And while they're getting it, they're putting out life-giving messages. They're not promoting violence. They're not gonna be those people that are gonna talk about putting a gun to somebody's head and drill this and spinning these blocks and doing all these things. You don't have to do that, man. And if you think about, as a parent, I think about, what am I feeding my children, right? You know what I mean? And so there's people out here now that they think there's no other way. They think that there's no other food to feed their children or the children in their communities. And so Collabratz is gonna be that light. It's gonna be that beacon. There is another way. You can be super successful and independent, you know, and put out life-giving messages, you know. And there's, just think about this, man. If there was the powers that be, and I want to look particularly at the Black community, right? Because we're struggling with this. We've been struggling with it for years, right? If there was an enemy of the Black community, right? Why not use music to separate and destroy the community? It's like rat poison. Am I gonna just take a whole bunch of traps and set them in your community? That's been done. You know what I mean? We've seen that. Or how about here? Take this poison, and you take it back and feed it to your own community. And bada boom, bada bing. Now, you can't go I challenge you. Look at the news every single day. Every single time you turn on the news, you know, you're gonna see people dying in the Black community, right? It's not directly because of the music, but just imagine if you were an alien from another planet. You're like, wow, all these Black people are dying, and it's like, what's really going on? And then listen to the music. And you'd be like, oh, okay, no wonder. This is all y'all talk about. Most of your content is about hurting each other, disrespecting your women. And so why are we shocked when it happens? We always ask ourselves, when is this gonna change? It's gonna change when we change our diet, when we are more intentional about what we put in our mouth, what we put through our eyes, and what we put in our ears. Because ultimately, you're still choosing to put those things into your body. I say this, man, I think you're absolutely right, you know, and you have to ask yourself, what's more frightening, separation or unity? You know, there's a bigger narrative at play here, you know, and I think that the labels are doing what they feel is gonna make them money, you know. It's been, you gotta understand, we've had an explosion of hip hop. When I was young, you couldn't really find hip hop unless you searched really hard for it, right? And then all of a sudden, like, right, so around when I was getting ready to leave high school, all of a sudden you couldn't escape hip hop. I remember one year, 1998, right? It was like Jay-Z dropped the album, Lauryn Hill's album, DMX dropped 2 albums, Equipment dropped, like, my little high school brain couldn't, you know, take in all this hip hop just like that, because before I gotta turn on the box and Tigger in the basement to try to find it. And then by the time I left high school, I couldn't watch a game, I couldn't watch a commercial, hip hop was literally everywhere. And the messages that were being put out were because we fought to have a voice to talk about overcoming bad experiences. Unfortunately with that, we also glorified violence and drug use on a scale that had never been done so publicly before. And people will drift towards those things. The things that you know that are not, that those temptations, you're gonna drift towards them, you know what I mean? And we didn't have enough light to cast that out, right? So people are not really like this in real life, you know, like you said with the Future interview, you know, but keeping us separated is it's a very powerful tool. It's happened since slavery, you know. When we come to this country as slaves, and the first thing they do is you gotta separate the families. First thing you need to do is get the father out of the picture. The strong male influence, he got to go. You know what I mean? Because now your family is more easily controlled because they've lost their authority. They've lost the head of the household. So now I'm gonna replace that, right? So now they're gonna be more malleable to do things, right? And that's very intentional. That achieved an intended purpose. You know what I mean? Modern slavery and that happened in America, Western slavery as they call it, was the most profitable business that we've had. Like it achieved all the purpose. It built everything, and they did it very intentionally. Split us up, right? But you got to think though, like before slavery, right? What were we actually doing? Did we not have some of the most advanced civilizations in the world? Did we not give the Greeks and give so many other cultures pretty much all of their technology, their architecture, their infrastructure, modern plumbing, hearts? You know what I mean? It is scary when you stick together, right? It's scary, because that's the second part of this, man, is that when you can erase pieces of history or make the history so distant that there's no connection to it, you know what I mean? Then people don't really know which way to turn. And so we're gradually erasing the history and the intended use and the togetherness of music as well. It's the same type of principle where we've drifted so far that we forgot that it's supposed to glorify God. And Satan was, before he was Satan, he was Lucifer in heaven. You know what his job was? He was a worship leader. So it's totally natural for him to weaponize music. You know what I mean? It's not like you gotta learn new skills to do this. It's something that he's doing, and it's just, I'll never stop fighting it. I just can't, And people join the movement. People want more positive